Hello everybody, my name is KingStix, and today I want to talk to you about why Warwick is the best jungle champion for new junglers. Now first off, I want to say that I am a jungle support main currently in Master Tier. I have like 80 LP. I used to primarily play only support, playing jungle only occasionally. I started playing so much support that I kind of forgot how to jungle. I couldn't really get back into the groove of it and I dreaded playing it. Bear in mind, I was really horrible at jungling at this point, even though it was technically my secondary role. The only jungler I really knew how to play was, I guess, Fiddlesticks. That's not saying a whole lot because Fiddlesticks is really crappy right now, so that didn't do me much good. So over the span of like a week, I got really good at Warwick. So probably less than 10 or 15 games, I got so good on Warwick that I was winning over 80% of my games on him as jungle Warwick. I don't recommend playing him top. I do recommend him in the jungle. There's too many people who counter him top lane. Infinite scaling champions like Nasus and early lane bullies like Darius will fuck you up. Anyways, where I'm going with this story is the fact that even if you have very little jungle experience, Warwick is extremely forgiving. He has insane sustain in the jungle. You pretty much can't die in the jungle even if you don't use a single ability. You would have to do the camps really wrong, like stand there and not fight back for you to possibly die. Even if you don't have the best runes or the best masteries that you should be using, which you should be using these ones right here, pretty much have health the full time while you're in the jungle, which makes him a great pickup for people who haven't really played jungle before or for people who are just new to the game in general. Not only that, but Warwick is only 450 IP, so if you are new to jungle, you can easily buy him, start playing him immediately without having to break your bank. I understand League of Legends is about to get rid of the IP system, but for now, it is IP and not blue essence. The second reason why I know for a fact why Warwick is the best champion for new junglers in League of Legends. He allows you to learn every aspect of jungling. He's a great counter jungler who can bully pretty much 90% of enemy junglers. I can't really think of a jungle on the top of my head who actually beats Warwick in a 1v1. I'll have to think on that, because if you do it right, you can pretty much counter jungle every single enemy jungler no matter what. Because Warwick can 1v1 anyone in the early and mid game. He's like a Lee Sin, except way safer, way stronger, and he has a lot more CC, even before level 6. Warwick also teaches you the value of positioning on a melee champion. It can be very difficult to learn how to position on a melee champion when you're a squishy assassin like KingStix or Rengar, because if you one misstep and you'll get blown up instantly. Warwick is a little bit more forgiving because you have two built-in dashes on your kit. Your ultimate is a dash that negates CC while you're dashing in midair. Once you land, of course, they can CC you, but while you're in midair, they can't. Your Q is also a great dash to use. You have to hold it down on an enemy champion and then you will go through them. If you don't hold it down, it'll just simply be a bite. But if you do go through them, you can avoid all sorts of CC and negate it altogether. Like Rakan is a great example. You can go through his CC. If you're interested in seeing how I do that so frequently and how I'm so good at that, you can go ahead and check out my How I Dodge Everything guide on Warwick. It's a really good video. You'll find that most people, it helps out a lot. Just should definitely check that out. So far for tip 1, we got Warwick super easy to play in the jungle. He has infinite sustain. Number 2, Warwick is strong throughout all states of the game. In the late game, Warwick is still stronger than many champions, but he does fall off a little bit. But in general, Warwick is strong during every point in the game, especially early and mid game, which is why he's such a great jungler for new junglers to learn and pick up. A big mistake I see new junglers make whenever they're trying to pick up a champion is they'll pick something that's really basic and crappy in the early game, like a Mumu. If you're new to jungling, picking up a Mumu can be really damaging, because if you're going up against someone who knows how to jungle, or just in general doesn't suck, they will abuse you so hard. Anyone can beat him 1v1 early game, and if he doesn't get blue buff, he's completely screwed. So if the enemy jungler invades your blue or messes with you, you're gonna have a really bad time. On the other hand, if you're Warwick, if an enemy jungler invades you, you can beat over 90% of enemy junglers, assuming you're equally fed. And even if they are more than fed than you, you can still beat most enemy junglers, which is absolutely insane. And for the third reason why Warwick is the best jungle champion for new junglers in League of Legends is because of the fact that his builds don't change that much. It's very difficult for new players or new jungle players who don't understand a champion or the role to decide what items to build, what is best. On Warwick in general, his builds rarely change. There's not a lot of item variations. You're not going to really be building any attack speed, any crit, any AP, nothing like that. It's just mostly building tanky items while avoiding building mana. For example, on Warwick, every single game, you're going to have Cinderhulk, your tier 2 boots, and a Thornmail. Even if the enemy team only has 1 AD, Thornmail is worth it because of all the passives it gives you. Plus, 99% of the time, the enemy team will have an AD carry, and Thornmail counters AD carry super hard. and is just a really strong third item pick on most tank champions in my opinion, especially Warwick since he's a bit of a bruiser tank. These are the items you normally build on Warwick, and here are some slight variations. Just remember to always start Hunter's Machete and Health Bead, and to always for your first item get Tiamat. Then you're going to want to go ahead and pick up your Cinder Hulk. You're going to go for Red Smite if you're the only tank on your team, because Red Smite helps you take less damage. It's also especially good if the enemy jungler is a high damage output like Lee Sin, KingStix, Elise, things that can put out a lot of damage quickly, because whenever you smite someone with the Red Smite, you take less damage from them, which is great, especially since you can combine that with your E. Blue Smite, whenever you have a lot of tanks on your team, but overall, you're lacking a little bit of CC. And even if you mess this up and you can't remember when to take Red or Blue Smite, it doesn't matter too much to the point where it really will affect your gameplay, which is just another great reason for picking Warwick as a new jungler. A fourth reason why Warwick is an absolutely amazing jungle character for new players to the game or people trying out jungle is because the fact that he works well on pretty much every single team comp. If your team already has someone tanky on it, Warwick is lovely. If your team doesn't even have a tank on it and you're the only tanky person, Warwick still works very well as long as the game doesn't go past the 35-minute mark or so. If it goes past the 35-minute mark, Warwick will begin to fall off, and you will see that a little bit. In general, Warwick works very well on any comp. He does AP and AD damage, so even if your team is full AD, Warwick isn't bad. And if your team is AP and AD, Warwick is still very good. And even once again, if your team's full AP, Warwick is still a solid jungle pick. He just plays into team comps very well. He can get picks, he can tank, he can do lots of damage. This is the reason why I climb so fast with Warwick. I can take an unranked account and get to Diamond in less than 60 games with pretty much over an 80% win rate, jumping divisions. I'm not trying to brag, and I realize I'm an experienced Warwick player, but I picked him up very quickly even though I wasn't that good at jungle. And for the reasons that I mentioned, he's just very easy to win with and very easy to learn. Now, I've made a lot of Warwick videos and had a lot of different stats and a lot of different things that I've said that have changed very slightly the better I learned him and the more he's changed. So if you guys were wondering, this is his new level order that I highly recommend. The reason you're taking 4 points in your W instead of just maxing your W straight out at 5 is because your W maxes out your attacks when they're below 20% HP when it is level 5 and it overfills. Whenever you put it at level 4, it's the perfect amount. It doesn't overfill and there's no attack speed wasted, so you're still getting the most out of the ability. The reason we're not maxing our Q first is because it doesn't get any lower on cooldown the more we level it up, so it's a bit wasted. The rest of the levels should be obvious. You're just taking your ult whenever you can, taking a point in your E at level 3 and maxing it last. For your runes and masteries, the most important thing on your masteries is that you take your fervor. Fervor is very valuable on Warwick. You get your stacks very quickly since you have so much attack speed. Warwick has so much built-in tankiness that you're going to be staying alive really long in team fights, so you're going to be getting off a lot of stacks and a lot more damage. Colossus doesn't make sense on Warwick because you're so tanky. Getting that extra shield doesn't help you out that much, and you have so much life still that getting that extra damage in is going to be a lot more useful. For example, Courage in the Colossus, you can only proc once in a team fight because of its cooldown, but Fervor you use non-stop, especially since you have so much attack speed. For your runes, it's just a very basic attack speed, attack damage based jungler rune page. And then you might be saying, oh, you're saying he's AD. Well, Warwick's actually AP and AD. His abilities don't scale properly with AP, and so his attack speed based building attack damage in his runes are much better. So I'd highly suggest this rune page with these masteries. For any of you wondering why I'm taking the magic penetration in my masteries, that's because Warwick's passive and Q and ultimate all do pure magic damage. So overall, I've tested it. Taking magic pen over the armor pen does a lot more damage in general. Cinder Hulk does magic damage as well. If you guys are interested in learning more Warwick, I have countless videos on him, full gameplay commentaries. I have several Warwick guides. I highly suggest you check out How to Dodge Everything guide on Warwick Jungle. If you haven't seen that yet, it's very informative and very useful. It really will help bring your Warwick game up to the next level. And that is going to wrap up this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a little bit different than the normal video I do. In the future, I want to do a top 5 best jungle champions for new junglers in League of Legends, because I realize it can be very difficult and scary for newer players to jungle to start playing it, because it's very different from any other role. It doesn't play like any other role. I know this firsthand because whenever I didn't jungle or whenever I got out of it, I was always very afraid to get back into it. Also, I have a lot of friends who just won't try it because they're like, oh, it's too hard. But in reality, it's not hard. It's just about the champions you play. I recommend staying away from things like Lee Sin and KingStix. They are bad in the meta right now. They're not very good. Also because they take so much skill For you to get to the point where you're actually contributing to your team, you're going to have to go through so many bad games. On someone like Warwick, even if you don't know him too well, you'll be contributing a lot more to your team without even knowing him as well. Since you are so tanky, even if you're messing up all your abilities, you'll at least be taking a lot of punches for your team, unlike a squishy assassin jungler. And if you're new to jungle, I really hope you do try picking up Warwick. He's cheap, he's easy to play, and if you get good at him, he has a lot of payoff and he can take you straight to Masters. I hope you guys enjoyed this different style of video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All your support and all your feedback helps me out tremendously. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next video.
Yeah.